My name's Mr. Black. I'm here with Mr. White. How you doing, Mr. White?
I'm doing quite well.
Alright.
Apparently, you were there at the fire that happened in Macomb, Alabama.
Yes,
Tell us
sir.
what
I
happened.
was in Macomb, Alabama during the fire. I was, as a matter of fact, down the road. So what happened in the fire? Believe it or not, there was a fire. A house burned down. We're on a time crunch. So, what all happened during this fire? Well, I left my house right in my little pity shack that I came out the street. I saw some smoke. I went by. There were like 100-something people there. The entire neighborhood, or whatever that cluster is called. It's like the Riggedy Shack or whatever. Yep, that's it. We were in the neighborhood, and all of us came over. We tried, we threw some water in the house. Miss,
You were one of the firefighters?
I was not a firefighter.
Oh, you weren't?
No, I picked up some sewage water.
Oh, you were helping?
I had to help, yeah.
I see.
There were like 15 of us helping out of the, I don't know, 100 of us there. Sorry. Some important notice, this girl got kidnapped. Her name was, I don't know, Batista? What's her name?
You got kidnapped?
What's her name?
Scouts?
Scout, what's her name? Jessie? I don't know. The female family in the Finch. That girl, Scout.
Oh, I heard she didn't get
Yeah,
kidnapped.
Scout Finch.
You-
Did she
from-
not get
From
kidnapped?
your perspective, you said you saw her?
Yeah, some dude got a cloak over her and he disappeared.
Was the Scoutfish still there?
Probably.
Mm.
I don't know. I was walking by when I saw that happen. So essentially, after that, there was the girl, Miss, what is her name? Miss Mowdy?
Yes.
As my friend calls her, Miss Shady. That girl.
You got it.
Yep. She jumped out of the window onto the mattress and the firefighters came and helped them. Because I'm running awfully short on time, I'm going to leave it there. But, all to you, Mr. White.
Well, when I was at the fire, I also helped in and joined because I was part of the firefighters.
Really?
Yeah. And there's this one guy throwing like footage out of the window.
Throwing stuff out of the wood.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The window. And I saw this very dark figure also come to Mrs. Scout Flinch and like he just put a blanket over her and called it a day.
He called it a day.
Yeah, and just walked away.
He just walked away. I didn't see him walk away. I did see him walk away, but I didn't see the girl. Did the girl stay there?
Yeah, I saw the girl afterwards. She stood there. She looked kind of shocked. That she
I'd
didn't even
probably
notice.
be shocked too because there's a fire burning.
Afterwards, when the lady jumped on the furniture, we made sure everyone was safe and put out the fire.
How much of the furniture got burned? 'Cause I remember most of it.
They took like most of the important furniture, like the bed, some couch, and I got two chairs, a bunch of other furniture.
Next, gonna talk about the riots that happened at the jail. As I was there, I was tending the maintenance crew of the jail, so I do remember seeing you in the jail. Ain't that right?
You were also at the riot. What were you doing there?
I was at the riot. I was maintaining the jail. I was keeping it clean.
I see. While I was, watching the riot, there was a little window, so I was able to see.
Wasn't he in the jail cell too? But yes, Mr. Tom Robinson was there. Wasn't he that black guy that got killed because of rape? Something like that?
Got accused of rape.
Excuse me. Yes. What was your perspective of
Yes.
the riot that happened?
Well, when I woke up from my very, very,
Disturbing. Yes.
sleep, I just saw a bunch of men.
A bunch of men.
Yeah, just standing, looking to get revenge of some sort.
Wasn't Mr. Finch there? Atticus Finch?
Yeah, he was.
The
He
lawyer.
was- He looked like he was trying to. Yes. A bunch of men looking to get, revenge.
Wanted to beat up Atticus some
Yeah,
sort.
teach him a lesson, sort of. Something like, what's his name? Atticus.
Walter? Oh.
Atticus was defending Tom Robinson, and then these little kids started running up and just talking back to their own father when their father told them to go back home. Some kids started coming up and talking back to their father.
Thank you, Mr.
White.
Sir. Thank you, Mr. White, for all of your perspective sharing upon your
View.
your
Point of
view. Thank you, your point of view, your perspective for that jail.
For the riot.
For the riot. Yeah, sorry, you were in the jail. I was the jail keeper, right? I was the keeper of the grounds. Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah, I was the community keeper. And, first of all, they were kicking up the walls, they were scuffing it. I had to clean that up. That was sad, but So what I saw from behind the door was Mr. Atticus, right? We called him Mr. Finch because that's polite.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Finch, what he did was he essentially stood up for Mr. Robinson, which isn't usual, and he needs to be commended for that. So, good for him on that account. But essentially what happened was, I think what y'all want to hear,
Yeah, want to hear? Yeah.
Is Mr. Finch's daughter, some child who looks like he lives under...
Finch.
That's Scout Finch, that's
Yes.
right. Like Jesse or whoever.
Oh, got Jem,
There's
Finch,
Jem.
and Dill.
Jem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, looked about 13. I don't know. He was rather old looking.
Mm-hmm.
I could have slapped that child. He was so disrespectful to his father. He was told to go home. He didn't go home.
Like he's talking back.
He was talking back. They call that back talk. Nope, we have Scout. Scout was insulting Mr. Cunningham. Mr. Cunningham, yeah. Scout was insulting him, talking about his entailment, talking about his awful court shenanigans, because that's...
Entailments.
Entailments, yeah, technically. Scout was talking about his son. I took it as an insult, because he's talking about, oh, I haven't seen your son since the first day of school. Is he doing okay? I see that boy run around my yard all day. My yard being the prison yard. Yeah, that boy plays with these kids. He plays... Mr. Cunningham packed up and said, you know what, have a nice day. Scout was an absolute... no insults. He was an absolute... She was an absolute,
Jerk about it.
I was going with a more, like, positive word, not necessarily a jerk, but she's very good at defending Mr. Robinson's facility. And in doing so,
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. These guys all got off from church, and I don't know why they were there, No, go ahead. It looks like.
Kind of looks like, when she started talking about entailments.
Yeah, no.
Everyone was like,
Like,
trying to get more.
what you talking about? Oh.
Yeah, but that's like, they were very shocked.
That's essentially it. They all just packed up and left after Mr. Cunningham just said,
Walter Cunningham, like,
let's leave. Walter Cunningham's his child.
It seemed like, Mr. Cunningham.
Cunningham, yeah.
Yes. Did he, seem mad?
He did not seem angry.
Yeah, 'cause at the time, honestly,
He seemed like he's about to cry. Very, very concealed is the better word. So yeah, we're running on a very tight time limit. Is that all you have to say, Mr. White?
I was gonna say, from your perspective, it seemed like, they're both kind of like, sort of secretly insulting each other. But from my perspective...
How did Cunningham insult
no,
Scout?
not Cunningham. Scout insulting Cunningham. From my perspective, it seemed like she just wanted to say hello. And Mr. Cunningham knew that. So he's like, yeah, thank you for that. And then left.
No, I saw it as an absolute... My interpretation was she politely set him afire. Alright, I'm presented here. My name is Mr. Black. I'm here presented by Mr. White. How you doing, Mr. White?
I'm doing quite well. How are you doing?
Very well. I'm doing wonderful. Very nice. Mr. Black is gonna... Mr. Black, sorry.
Mr.
Mr. White is gonna go first, and then I will share my perspective upon the trial. Now, essentially, what happened on the trial, I will sum it up. We have we had a defendant named Tom Robinson, of which was a man of color. He was accused of rape by the people call it the Wells, but I call it the E-Well because I'm an American. So yes, we are going to currently review that. What overall happened was the E-Wells sued Mr. Robinson over the accusation of rape. Robinson was viewed as guilty by the jury, and Mr. Atticus lost the case. He was eventually killed later on an attempted escape, as we're told. I'm going to allow Mr. White to give more detail upon the story. Please elaborate, Mr. White.
So at first they brought the sheriff, the person that was
Please
called.
speak up, sir.
Yes, the person that was called to about the problem. And the sheriff seemed a bit suspicious with what he was saying. He was talking about was Mr. Atticus was asking about the victim's injuries.
His medical records.
Like his, if the
And by his,
victim,
I mean her. My apologies.
the victim is
The plaintiff's medical records.
Yeah. And then he brought on.
Yeah, I get it. Yes, the medical records provided by the sheriff was examined by the judge and the jury, and Mr. Atticus pointed out in detail about how a man with the arm, the left arm, the size of his elbow, very like, I don't know, 12-inch arm, has very unlikely to both strangle and then assault a woman.
And then,
That was the ginormous flaw within the medical records. After the case with Atticus, my apologies, after Atticus cross-interviewed, I believe is what it's called. Sorry, it's called crossfire. After he crossfired Mr. Bob Ewell, he was presented by the plaintiff, of which was Mayella Ewell, and she shared her details, but overall she had no comeback, two of which Mr. Finch pointed out. That's my perspective on the initial distribution of information upon the trial. Mr. White will go next.
Atticus then was talking to the girl about.
You gotta speak up, man. You gotta speak
Atticus
up.
then accused the girl of a tiny bit of lying.
A
And
tiny bit of lying.
No,
You
lying.
mean false accusation.
False accusations. And the girl felt a bit panicked, which then she started using.
Yeah,
that
she
as-
was crying and she was panicking. Oh, you're attacking me! And I think I quote, I don't know, it was 30 years ago.
So after that, what's his name? Tom Robinson came on.
Tom Robinson did, in fact, come up. He presented his case, and he did say something along the lines of, well, if you were in my shoes, Mr. Yusum, you wouldn't, if you was a person of color,
You would run away too.
you'd run away too. You'd be scared. Mr. Finch provided
A lot of evidence,
swift evidence of Mr. Robinson's
which made a lot of sense too.
innocence. Yes, because a literally handicapped man cannot physically assault a woman who major time crunch. As we have 2 minutes left, I'm going to wrap this up and say, what all did you see from the bird's eye perspective
Well,
on the top of the balcony when everyone stood up?
when Mr. Atticus was walking down the lane, everyone stood up and showed to show him respect for trying and helping Tom Robinson.
Showed him respect. All right, yeah. How do you think the case should have gone, and did the jury make a mistake? If so, how and why do you think they did it? Good.
The case should have gone in Tom Robinson's favor, where he didn't go to jail, and the jury did make a mistake, but really it wasn't really a mistake because he's black, so they still sent him to jail.
So you say this is because of
It's
pure
skin
racial.
color. Yes.
When there's a time, there's a place, and he was in neither of the right areas.
Yes.
Poor Mr. Robinson. Well, I agree with the exact same thing. Because we're on a time crunch, I say y'all have a fantastic night. Sleep well. Goodbye.